I know you mentioned house hacking. You said that's the preferred strategy for a beginner, or like how did you? Well, you did tell us actually how you got started exactly, but you would tell a beginner to start with house hacking for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because the main thing, like, and these days, like I said, everybody just want to look good, like you know what I mean. And you set yourself back, you know what I mean. Like that's, you know, a lot of people set themselves up. They might not realize it now, but I've been through it. Like I know what's going on. I know the way money works, and you know what I mean. Like you
Mhm.
can't have everything, you know, that fast. Like it's a process, you know what I mean. So, you know, you got to be strategic about this game called life out here. You know,
Mhm.
you can't be worried about what everybody else is thinking and what everybody
Mhm.
else is doing. You know, I mean, you gotta study, you know, what works, you know, out here, and study people that have been through it, you know, and see what they can say, you know, learn from their mistakes and stuff. Yeah.
Right. And I think part of house hack, right? Because a lot of the times what ends up happening, and you kind of you said it earlier. One of the biggest things is you could renovate it, right? You could fix it up a little bit, and then that leads to one of the most like popular strategies, BRRRR, right? Like the BRRRR, like all that stuff. So can we talk about that as well? Because I know we like Rel and I have spoken about it a lot, but from someone with your experience and everything you learned in real estate, can you shine some light on that and just let people know how cool it is and what the advantages are and if you recommend it?
Yeah, so I'll start out by saying, like, at first, I didn't really understand the value in it. When I first got into real estate, I wanted,
Hmm.
again, that instant gratification. I was like, man, I don't care about that damn little rent money. Like, give me the 50,000, 100,000 flips and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But but now I regret not holding my property. So my perspective on the bird strategy is, I call it the best of both worlds. You know what I mean? Because
yeah.
you get that cash flow every month, but you also get to build equity. You know what I mean? Once you renovate that property, you build instant equity, and then when you're holding, you know, your equity is appreciating over time. You know what I mean, with the value and stuff like that. So you know, what I mean, that, you know, that's the best way to do it. You know, so I highly recommend the bird strategy. Now, what I would say is that you got to be careful in this particular market right here. You know, last few years it was great, but the problem that is right now in this market that a lot of people aren't considering is that property values are on a decline. You know what I mean? And if you buy a property today, the appraiser is using comps from 3, 6, maybe even 12 months ago, depending on the market. Anybody who knows real estate knows this is a completely different market, and those values aren't accurate, right? So you're buying something based off of a market that's long gone. You know what I mean? So the value should it probably a little less than whatever that appraiser was saying right now. But then,
Hmm.
you know, if you're repairing the property, it's going to take you a few months, right? Like, and we don't know where the hell we're going to be in 4 to 6 months. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Average flip takes like 6 months, you know, for fixed repairing and selling. You know, so 6 months we could be deep in a recession by now. So let's say you got a property, um, it's fix and flip. You buy it for 300,000. You put in 100 in it, and let's say it's what we worth 550. 6 months. It's saying, you know what I mean. When you're done, it's will be worth 6 months. I mean 550. When you go to refinance, you know what I mean. That value most likely is not going to be accurate because they base it off of still those comps from 3, 6, and 12 months ago. But at that time, it's going to be 18, 24 months. You know what I mean, or something like that. So
Hmm.
like that's 2 years because comps is 2 years old. So again, the ARV they might say 550, but by the time you finish your project and go to sell, it might be 500 or 475. Then
Right.
now, depending on the equity, you might gotta bring money to the table instead of being able to pull money out to move on to your next investment, which was the original goal. So when y'all real estate investors out there, you run your numbers right now, be conservative. I don't care what that appraisers say because they're just basing it off of data that, you know, they're basing it off of data. They're not predicting the future, you know, projections and stuff like that, which because they don't care. They got paid. They're done after they give you that report. but you're not done until you exit that short-term loan. Whether you sell it or refinance. So, you know, you don't want to be at a loss. You know, so just be mindful of, you know, the economy, you know, and the state of the economy and what we could potentially, you know, we be at, you know, in 4 to 6 months.
So I have a quick. Go ahead.
Oh no, my fault. I was just going like just speak on that because you know, he's talking about like flipping properties right now in this economy and saying like that's not the preferred way of going about it. And so the preferred way right now you think is for people who just want to be able to buy and hold and then get rental income for sure. Like flipping is kind of just out of the conversation right now.
I wouldn't say it's out of the conversation, but it's risky right now for sure. It's risky just because it's just so uncertain. You know what I mean? Nobody knows, because the thing for sure, I can guarantee within 6 months, the Fed, they're going to increase the rates at least 2 more times. You know what I mean? Every time they increase it, they're going up at least 75 basis points, which is like 0.75 of a percent. So if they do that, that's another
1.5.
0.5, you know what I mean? Which is going to make it even more difficult for people to purchase. So it's going to be more inventory. The more inventory that comes available, the lower the prices go.
Go down, yeah.
Yeah, and they're already saying that we definitely going to be in a recession in 2023. So, you know, don't set yourself up for failure by assuming that things are going to go smooth and be, you know, perfect. Because that's how it was over the past few years, and we understand that this thing, real estate, goes in cycles. You know what I mean? So we've had it great. So you got to expect it to be a little rough for the next, you know, coming at least couple years.
So you just kind of literally said the perfect thing, right? Because Rel and I just recorded a video literally on Monday about how this market is compared to '08, and there's a lot of comparisons going around, right? And I think you actually said you bought your first property in '08. Around that time, right? So I'm just wondering right now, like, how do you think, you know, this market compares to that market, right? I think, obviously, Rel and I pointed out earlier how there's a lot of differences in our opinion, but we want to know from someone who's actually lived through it. Do you see similarities? Do you see differences? And I know you just said you predicted the next couple of months to be kind of tough, but where do you see this market going with '08?
I don't see it being as bad as '08, because, like, I mean, I cleaned up in '08. Well, '09, I cleaned up, you know, so that's when I bought my first two. You heard me tell I bought my first two for $10,000. I didn't even mention that I went back to the guy, you know, before I finished that first property, I went back and bought like 5 more. Like, you know what I mean? So,
see, that's what I'm saying, bro. Everyone be running it up. I've watched videos and people at '08, '09 are like, yeah, I bought like 4 properties for $40K. I'm like, bro, what?
Oh, man, listen, that's our down payment right now.
Yeah, man. Like, so I don't think it's gonna be, you know, like discounted that deeply. You know, I hope it is, but I doubt it. You know, because it's just too much inventory right now. You know what I mean? So the inventory not gonna go at that as low as it was before, but it's definitely gonna be some opportunities. You know what I mean, to be considered during this market. So I mean, yeah, like you said, y'all down payments 40. I mean, down payments might go down to 20, 10, 20 or something like that. You probably won't be able to buy for 10 and 20, depending on the market, you know, depending on where your investment market is. So if you're in markets like Detroit, St. Louis, Baltimore, you know, where properties are still pretty cheap, you know, you might be able to score some deals like that, but never in New York, you know, especially in the city and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's definitely tough.
Extremely, bro. Extremely. You know, we've been looking, and it's like, you know, we've had this battle before between whether you want to look for properties that cash flow heavy or you're looking for properties that want to appreciate. And I just wanted to see like your take on it. Which one do you think is better for an investor coming into the market now? Should you look for properties that cash flow, maybe in markets like as you said, or do you want to look for more expensive markets like in New York and just kind of ride the wave?
So I would say if I was just starting, I wouldn't really focus on cash flow. I mean, not that it's bad, but it can be risky, because if it's not a multifamily and we hit a recession and you just spit all your money into this single family or something like that, and that person lose their job, now you got to pay that mortgage. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
let's say your job lays you off or something like that. And what other income do you have to pay that mortgage? And then you're gonna lose that house. You know, whereas though if you focus on the equity, build the equity and flip, or you can do both. You know what I mean? You could I would start out flipping, you know what I mean? You could do the burr, but like I said, in this market it can be
Yeah,
risky.
yeah.
You know, so taking away, this current market, I would say start out with flipping, because that way, you can, earn a lump sum and, have a little cushion. You know what I mean? I would do that a few times and then, focus on like the cash flow, because then, you'll have some reserves. Worst case scenario. One thing about real estate, there's always going to be some surprises and stuff that you didn't, prepare for. So you always got to make sure that you have some reserves, just in case.
Got you. I have two things, and then I have this is like a two-part question, right? So one is really a story. So my friend Marcus and I are actually looking to buy some property in Detroit, right? And we were actually going through the experience that you just mentioned. So this was probably about like 8 months ago or so, right? And we were looking at properties and we saw the trend that real estate was going down, and it was basically going in the negative direction, right? The prices were falling month over month. Year wise, it's still fine, but basically it came down to the point that we were looking at cash flow and appreciation. We wanted to kind of get both, but then we said cash flow would be fine. But then it was exactly what you said. Essentially, we were looking at like B areas, right? Like B minus areas, because we were like, if we buy a single family home and they lose their job, we're screwed, right? So that I'm saying that to ask you basically, do you think it makes sense? I know you said, single family, people might lose their job, but do you think it still makes sense to look single family if you're looking at the A areas rather than looking at like, D or even like the terrible areas in general? Like, which one do you think makes more sense if you're looking for cash flow during this market?
I say the areas. Because you can judge by it, because certain areas, certain people can't afford to live there, and even certain areas the people have more security, you know what I mean, or more dependable jobs. Like, like you see, like I would try to cater towards recession-proof businesses or jobs, like people in the medical field, you know what I mean, like the pandemic, everybody who was still booming throughout that's the type of people you would want to rent to, so it's just about being mindful who you allow to be, your tenant in these properties. Yeah.
Okay, and my other part was just going to be, I know, Rel, you could handle the bad talk thing. I just wanted to know, because I feel like I'm always curious when I watch interviews, right? Like, what do these people really think? Like, are they going to make any crazy takes? So I was wondering if you had like a bold take or bold prediction on where you think the market's going to go. Like, if you had to say one bold take, I think everyone's saying there's going to be some type of drop, right? But like, if you had to make a bold prediction.
I would say the property values probably drop about 20%. You know what I mean? I don't see it being steep, like, over 50% and 60, 75%, like, you know what I mean? Some markets did in the Great Recession. I say about 20%. I say about a 20-25% max discount, in property values and prices. Yeah.
I hope you're right. I definitely hope you're right, because I'm about to go shopping.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Because so many people, like after the pandemic, bought second homes, because we were all, we were locked down. Everybody was locked down. They wanted to get out. People wanted more space, you know what I mean, after that. So some people just moved to new locations. And I just saw a report where it said like 75% of the people that moved during the pandemic regret it now. You know what I mean? So, for one reason, so they may be selling. A lot of people bought second homes because the cash flow was booming then. A lot of people had extra money, but now fast money done slowed up. They're starting to feel a crunch now, but it's not bad enough to where as though they have to lose the property. Or it may be in pre-foreclosure mode. That can take 4 to 6 months before I actually get to foreclosure. So a lot of things are probably starting to take effect now, but we just won't see it, the end result, until about 6 months from now. So I'm anticipating like a 20-25% decrease in prices.
But just I just want to respond to that real quick. Like, based on what you said, when it comes to foreclosures, do you think there will actually be a significant amount of foreclosures to actually shift the market when like so many people have so much equity because of the whole pandemic run up that happened in property values? Like, do you think the equity will not allow them to foreclose?
All right, guys, so Rod just told us a lot on what he thinks about the house hacking strategy plus other strategies you can use to get involved in real estate. But to find out what he thinks about the market in the future, if he sees a lot of foreclosures, you have to watch part 3. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the interview so far, and let us know what you think about the foreclosure market. But part 3 will be there next week on Wednesday. Always make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, plus hit that little notification bell because we drop 2 videos a week and you don't want to miss them. We're going to check you out on Monday, but until then, peace.
Soundstripe.